Arriving onto the motor racing landscape in 2005, the Formula Renault 3.5 series quickly became the ideal Prix F1 development category thanks to a competition price ratio that had no equal. Over 11 seasons, the category took many talented drivers to the highest level of the sport. From 2008, the Formula Renault 3.5 has a V8 engine with 3.5-litre displacement, producing around 500 horsepower. It has a 6-gear paddle-shift transmission and weighs only 623 kilograms, 1,373 pounds. Fuel capacity is 110 litres. The overall length of the car is 5 meters and 7 centimeters. It is fair to say that the car is a lightweight, high downforce and high-powered open-wheel race car that prepares drivers for the top in open-wheel racing. It requires lightning-fast responses, a lot of talent and utmost concentration. The Formula Renault 3.5 is the car of choice for the new eFormula series, in order to create a high-level, challenging championship on iRacing. In 8 challenging races, a champion will be crowned.
Hello and welcome to eFormula 3.5 series. Welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix at Hungaroring. I'm Jason Sawford and I'm joined today by Marley Watts. Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very much looking forward to seeing tonight's racing go ahead. We've been watching a bit of the practice, but I can't wait to see everyone out on track for the real thing.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be going to look like quite an interesting race. So I've had a quick look at the schedule. It's either going to be 39 laps or an hour and 5 minutes, whichever comes first. I believe the 39 laps would be scheduled to come first. So not exactly a sprint race, but you don't have the most time to get anything done. But naturally, these are Formula cars, so that's about the right length of race, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with the lap times we've been seeing, we should be pushing around 40-50 minutes of racing, which is enough time for any number of things to go right or wrong in anyone's strategy book here. So I think it will result in some cat and mouse right at the beginning and a mad dash at the end, which is the bit I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I'll just get the timing tower up so you can see roughly the order that we are looking at. Vasiliev is at the top in the practice session currently. We'll be getting into qualifying in about a minute's time. But just looking at these times, I feel like it's going to be quite a close race.
Yeah, I mean, the top 10 are sorry, my bad. The top 6 are spread by around a second, and then from top 5, I'd say 5th place down to 10th, 11th will all be 12th even will be very competitive with each other. So we should be seeing an interesting shuffle in the midfield. Having said that, though, it is Hungaroring, famously difficult to overtake at. So we'll have to wait and see. But we've got all the hallmarks of it being an absolute classic, as they'd say, in tonight's Formula Renault race.
Yeah, I have to admit that I've only really experienced this track in either GT3 cars or in Formula 1 cars, so that does hold true for those cars, but we will see whether it holds true for the Formula Renault 3.5s as we are getting into the qualifying session, and looks like Vasiliev is the first one out.
Yes, he is out in the blue and orange atomic car. And he was doing the fastest laps as we saw in practice. He had it was a 29.25. So he's hoping to emulate that in the next 15 minutes. But do you reckon anyone was hiding anything back there? Do you reckon anyone was was not showing their full hand. I think we were seeing a few cars in the 34s, 33s. Do you reckon they could be a dark horse for today's qualifying?
Yeah, maybe so. I'm just looking. I'm not currently hearing any audio from iRacing. So I will have to check that out to see what the issue is there. So please bear with me. My apologies. Get to see my options menu for a bit.
Copy your settings, everyone.
Now, I don't know why that isn't giving any audio at all, because as you can probably see, it looks to be all fine.
It is coming through the correct audio channels?
Yes, it might just be quiet.
We were hearing it earlier on. Was hearing it earlier on, so...
Yeah, my apologies, everyone. Just having to fix some issues on the go. This isn't ideal, but I would like you to be able to hear these glorious Formula Renault 3.5 cars going around. But for now, we will just look at Vasiliev's lap as he goes around the track.
Vasiliev, I believe this is his first flying lap, so we will be able to see what he has in terms of pace for his first lap out. I mean, of course, as well, these tyres, as we've seen before, they don't heat up to their optimal temperature over that first lap, so there may be 2 or 3 tenths still in it once he comes across the line, so we'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's looking a very tidy lap, not too many risks being taken. The chicane earlier on, he wasn't flinging it over the sausage curbs on the inside, and here as well, he's not quite extending it all the way out to the AstroTurf, so a bit cautious on these warmish tyres so far. Comes across the line.
It's a 129.48, so well, that's the first time my timing tower doesn't appreciate something either.
Yeah, I think iRacing's fighting back, it seems. iRacing really doesn't like what's going on right now. It was working perfectly fine in the practice session, but
right, I know how to fix this one. There you go. Fix that one.
Excellent.
Audio issues still pending.
Vasiliev, of course, 4 tenths. So he's 4 tenths clear of the 77 machine behind. And I'm terrible at names. I do apologize if you are watching this afterwards. But I believe Oval in the 27 car has gone third fastest, as we see Vasiliev. Oh, he's trying his absolute hardest. He's trying to push these tires and this car as hard as it could go, and it's a little misjudgment on the current level of grip there, as we see Guild go second fastest. 29.848.
We'll have a look at another driver on their first lap, Caballero, I believe would be how that's pronounced.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Just coming through the final sector, looking pretty tidy to me.
Around the final bend. Keeping it tight. And fourth fastest. That's a 30.3. So we're seeing he's definitely got some room still on the racetrack there. He wasn't extending the second to last as far as we've been seeing some of the other cars in practice. So still a couple of tenths left on the table. I mean, with most of these drivers, there's a few tenths still on the table. We're not seeing the 29.2, 29.1s just yet. As we see Torres come through the final curve, looking to cement himself somewhere within that top 5. Comes across the line, and that will be a 1. That was
not count.
outlap.
That was not an outlap, but it must have invalidated somewhere.
Must have extended just a bit too far somewhere around the track. Mark Ponick coming around with quite a striking colour scheme here. Through the second to last. Yeah, extending it all the way out, as you can see. So really trying to use as much of the track as possible. Through the final curve. Ooh. Is that within track limits?
But looks things it was a slight improvement.
Not enough to bump him any spots at the minute. But we are seeing a shuffle in the timing towers. A gaggle of cars come across the line right now. So our top 5 as it stands is Vasiliev, Guild, Buzi, Ilbrink, and Cabinero. Our top 5 as it stands. 4 cars into the 29s. And it's such a tight grid from the top to the bottom of the times at the minute, spread by just under 2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely all going for it, as we see Mark Bruning coming through to the final corner, keeping it nice and tight round there, going all the way out. Is that within track limits? We will find out. Yep, looks like it is. It was evidently some form of warm-up lap.
Yeah, maybe just taking 2 laps to get himself set before taking his fast lap. So, what's that final turn there? I'm surprised that the track limits allow you to go that far out. Because he was almost beyond the second white line just after the AstroTurf. So,
yeah, especially knowing iRacing track limits, I'm definitely quite surprised about that one. But there you go, learn something new every day. Are we back? I think there's been a couple of issues. I'm dropping
the stream is at 8
a
minutes.
Few frames.
Stream is at 8 minutes right now.
There we go. We look to be back. There we go. OBS is back in the green and we're no longer dropping frames. My apologies. Everything's going wrong today. But right, who's about to finish a lap? Danny Hoekstra about to finish a lap, by the looks of things, or might be starting one.
Bright orange car here, very, very proud
very Dutch
countryman.
Very
proud.
I approve of that. Comes across the line and not an improvement, so might have been just a second tyre warm-up lap.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that drivers are taking the 2 laps to get themselves into that tyre window, because as has been shown in quite a few of the other iRacing events, like 1 lap is good enough to get you into the tyre window at the end of your lap. You kind of need it in that window for the whole lap, and even 1 or 2 corners where your tyres are just that little bit colder can result in your lap time being 2 or 3 tenths down. And especially here with the first sector being so grip dependent, drivers taking 2 laps out probably optimal, as we see Bruning go into 15th position just ahead of Torres. Very good spread of times here.
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty close to each other, apart from Santana down at the bottom, but I would assume that would be first lap out. If you have 2 warm-ups, then there you go. I think Vasiliev is about to come across the line, our current pole sitter. Can he improve at all on that 29.3? It looks like that was an invalid lap, so no, but naturally stays pole position for the time being.
Yarrow coming across the line. A bit slower, so it seems to be his outlap, so we will be seeing Cabinero come around for a lap, as you see Ponick come around the final curve. Very wide entry.
A nice golf-inspired livery by the looks.
Indeed. Again, that seems to be the outlap there, so
Yep, is
find
this
someone
going
coming
to
across.
be an improvement from Christoph Buzzi? I'll go with
Why?
that. Only 2/10 off, and I noted that the lap before was an outlap, so tyres might not be quite up to temperature, or they can only take one lap, and we just don't know what we're talking about. But we will find out. Dave Guild come across the line. Can he improve? Yep, an improvement, but it's doesn't get him any positions.
Yeah, with this, ooh, we see a Red Bull livery spin across our screen there. Yeah, with this track, it's very technical, it's very precise. So I'm not surprised that there's only a couple of improvements here and there. And once you get a good lap in, it's going to take a lot of effort to get yourself improved, as we see Hoekstra going fourth fastest, jumping six positions there from 10th up into 4th. So very impressive from the Dutchman there. If you see Ponick come around, we saw him cross the line earlier and not improve. Will he be able to improve this time around?
Looks like
Cross the line.
Looks like that was a line through the final corner to start a lap, so have to keep an eye on that for when he comes back across the line. Someone who we haven't seen yet, Paul Ilbrink.
You see a
5th position. Oh,
a lead change.
Yep. 77 now in
fastest lap we've seen today, actually. His practice lap was a 0.25, so Boozy with the fastest lap that we've seen today with a 29.24. Boozy and Vasiliev, of course, teammates with the atomic colours, so trading times of each other, they're going to be... I mean, I'd imagine glad that it's a front row lockout for their team, but at the same time, they want to be the one taking the glory. So you see Vasiliev come across the line. Can he improve?
Not quite.
2/10 down. Nero coming around the final bend. The 38 machine looking to improve from 6th position. Can't quite do it. A 10th down again. Seems to be a common theme. As cars come across the line, it's either a huge improvement or hair's distance away from their personal bests. We are reaching the end of qualifying, so we've got another 20 seconds of cars coming across the line before their final laps, as you see Ponick leapfrog Oval to take 7th place.
Is Ilbrink coming across again? Is it going to be an improvement? No, not quite. Ooh, Dave Guild there just having a spin out of the second to last corner, staying well off the track for Ovale coming through.
That'll be the end of his qualifying.
Yep, checker flag has dropped, so these times that you are seeing are final. Ovale going up to 6th place with a 1:29.7. Vasiliev coming into the pits.
Aborted that final lap.
Yeah, 2nd place at most for him. Can Caballero do anything to improve?
No.
Also coming into the pit lane. Looks like we now have 2 drivers on a lap, one of them being Mark Ponick, who is locked up and won't be completing his lap. So Paul Ilbrink is the last one out on track.
Get tidy.
Might as well stay on for a bit. Let's
onboard.
have an onboard a bit squirmy out of that corner, but I can't imagine that's not common. And gets on the curb, and that will be qualifying then.
I'll be qualifying. Ilbrink showing us what those rear tyres can do.
Once we get to the race, I'll be able to show the grid, and then we can get a slight rundown. Session just not finishing yet, so I believe they give 2 minutes after session finish, so it should be finishing pretty soon. So that we can do our rundown of the grid.
Yeah, 2 cars not taking to the track this session, Perry and
While it's doing
Bouge.
that, let's see if I can sort this. It has just gone to grid. Let's do some changes. Right. I can hear something.
Good luck,
now.
everybody. Thanks again for coming.
So let's do this. My apologies, I don't have.
The X audio, is that your controller there?
The X audio should now be on. Let's just disable voice chat. Let's see, do we have anything? I'm going to get the grid graphic up.
Yes,
so that you can do that while I fix this.
So, Boozy taking pole position of his teammate Vasiliev, the 2 teammates forming a front row lockout. Guild and Hoekstra taking the 2nd row just behind for Tulip Racing. Ilbrink taking 5th position, only 4 tenths down from our leader, and Oval in 6th place there. Cabinero for 7th position, and Ponic in 8th.
We are gridding, so it sounds like the lights are about to come on, so, and there we go. Green flag, apologies for that.
No.
Luckily, we now have audio.
I mean, that's better news, I think.
Yep,
we see Vasiliev take the first turn in the lead. He took that the long way round on his teammate. Seeing the cars come through into turn 4. Still 2 abreast further back, so be danger here because these turns are very tight as they come into the 2nd sector.
In all this, Boozy has dropped down into 2nd place and is now having to defend from Hoekstra behind. Vasiliev able to get a bit of a gap in the first part of the first lap.
Yeah, Vasiliev managed to... we see 2 cars take the runoff.
Yeah, it looked like contact back there with...
Guild and Ilbrink.
Yep, Guild and Ilbrink involved.
Ilbrink has retired, so... And... Guild... Oh, I'm not too sure about Guild. It flashed up for a second there, but yeah, the 2 cars involved in serious contact at the chicane. As we see, oof, just ahead of Bruning, the number 46 almost goes straight into the back of Killard there. Sillard, my bad. Yeah, these cars do not. Yeah, these cars do not look very easy to maintain on the first lap out, especially if you don't know what the car in front of you is going to be doing. As we see cars come across the line in order, it's Vasilia, Uzi, Hoekstra, Oval, Ponic, and Cabinero are top 6 at the minute.
Well, I can say one thing, they sure don't appreciate contact. As naturally all Formula cars are very...
Fragile.
Yeah, very fragile, I'll say that.
They're highly tuned, these cars, you know. You don't want to snap any of your aerodynamics off in the fear that it'll upset the balance of the car, and then you'll be losing valuable tenths. Even on the straights, even if you do snap your front wing, that's going to ruin your straight line speed as well as your cornering speeds.
My apologies again, but I'm just going to turn the audio slightly down, because while it is nice to hear, I can barely hear my co-commentator. So I'll have to
do
it's a little bit of tweaking to get it just right. There we go, that should be fine.
Yeah, it's not been easy with these technical issues, but thank you for sticking with us through it. But here we are back in action, and we see the cars now starting to settle down a bit. I mean, having said, I was just saying that, but the battle going on for 12th position here. Cars very bunched up. The 4 cars just behind. I'm going to attempt to pronounce. I will apologise in advance. Malipard? Mypard? I am so sorry.
Mollipard, I believe.
Mollipard.
I want to get my Dutch accent on.
I am terrible at all accents, so this is going to be very fun for me. Can you say that again one more time?
Mollipard, I believe.
Mollipard, I'm going to...
Yeah. I think that works for an English pronunciation of it, so... Looks like Dave Guild here, still on track after some contact with Ilbrink. It looks to me like Ilbrink wasn't out, but probably just resets pits.
Well, I mean, take a look at his engine cover here, Guild's engine cover, or lack thereof.
Oh yeah, where is it? It's gone somewhere, but he's now managing to get past Santana, so he's going to be working his way back up the grid.
71 here, Kubleji? Yeah, Kubleji. The car behind Torres locks up. That was very late in the corner to be locking up there. But you definitely spoke from the front tyres, so just trail braking a little bit too hard and hooking the car around there. That was a fairly vicious spin.
I didn't see what happened there, so test our replay feature.
Here we go, Torres. Pretty sure it was the front tyres that did smoke up. Seeing here, coming into the corner. Ooh. Yeah.
That's a very interesting one, I think. And then just having to wait to get back on the track.
Yeah, not wanting to plough into anyone. We see Ponick defending from Caballero just behind in the Tulip racing machine. Looking fairly comfortable at the minute. He doesn't seem to be stressing too much, just driving that car like he normally would. No defensive maneuvers as of yet. But I mean, this position here, you definitely don't want to be overtaking at. This kind of mid-sector, left, right it's a no-go in nearly every single vehicle on the planet. You don't really want to be going side by side in there because it's just going to end in tears for all parties involved and potentially not involved in the calamity that might occur.
Yeah, that's not going to end well for anyone. If you even try and go side by side through pretty much any of Sector 2. Vasiliev there setting the fastest lap of the race, but very closely matched by Boozy, I have to admit. What's that? 2,000 slower on that last lap?
2,000, yeah. So, I mean, we're seeing a good string, like all the way down of just 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, and then Guild pulling out 30.7.
Clearly that engine cover wasn't doing anything too important. Maybe his engine's even cooler now than before.
Yeah, I mean, he had some clear air in front of him, but he's caught all the way up to Kubleji just up ahead. Kubleji, my bad. And just sat on his tail trying to sight an overtaking point here. And really, if he could get it into the chicane, he's got it here. Otherwise, he's going to have to tuck back in and wait until the end of the lap. See now. He's just not close enough. He's right on his rear diffuser, and
looks like he just got let through past.
There. Yeah, Kublaji feeling the pressure perhaps, and just not wanting to deal with Guild running into his rear diffuser at any point. So
yeah, I mean, sim racing in general, not just in Formula racing, but sim racing in general is about picking your battles. If you don't think you're going to be able to keep someone behind for the rest of the race, then what's the point in keeping them behind for part of the race? So might as well just let him through, get on with your day, and there you go.
Yeah, Hector Torres, after that spin earlier, has managed to catch back up to Santana as they come down the straight, trying to use all of the slipstream available. Is he going to pull out onto the inside for this turn? Not quite. It's going to stay fairly close as Santana locks up. Torres having to avoid the stricken car on the outside of the track. They go side by side into turn 3. I want to say this is turn 3. I can't remember. There's a 2A, I believe, at this track, so it's very confusing. But there he goes straight through on Santana.
Yep, a nice switchback, and there you go. That move is done. We can look forward in the grid a bit to Mark Broning, who still has the 46 fairly close behind.
Yeah, the 46 of Malicard.
Say that, it looks like something's happened to De La Fuente, who has dropped down 2 positions.
Yeah, De La Fuente started 12th, made his way up to 8th, and then from the looks of things, just had a nasty spin coming into the final sector. Yeah,
worth looking at that once we have some form of conclusion to this. Dave Guild is now right on the back of Craig Molnar. Obviously, Guild fighting back after an incident early on. We're still only on lap 7, and he's managed to make up at least 3 positions back. He's right on the back of Molnar here.
Yeah, I mean, the qualifying, the qualifying times were about 7/10 different, but it depends on where those 7/10 are. If those 7/10 are all in the corners, he's going to have to make a brave move to the inside at some point. So we'll have to wait and see what his plan of attack is onto Molnar up ahead. But right now, again, just sitting in the slipstream, waiting for an opportunity to appear. Molnar taking a defensive line into that corner, not quite opening up as much as he can. He's going off track there. To Guild take to the inside. Molnar locking up side by side to the second to last. Going to be the last of the late breakers. That will be Guild.
All the way around the outside, and there you go. That is the move done. Some very nice side-by-side action there, and now Dave Guild will set his sights onto Malipad, and I believe we can take this opportunity to have a look at what happens to De La Fuente.
De La Fuente.
So it's probably going to be a lock-up and spin. Just looks like it was off the curb, actually, there.
Yeah, just unsettled the car on entry, and just the car didn't wrap all the way around. So he's at the very least still pointing in the right direction, but going to be paid for those 2 positions that he lost so easily to one curb. So
yeah, narrowly missing 2 cars, but well, I don't think either of them would have been his fault either way, but still, it's never it's never good to crash in these cars.
It's never good to crash in most cars, but I mean,
well, these ones are much easier to lose a wheel. So
yeah, with the the exposed suspension elements here, you know, you can rip off a wheel fairly easily in these cars. So it's as much as protecting your car as it is going for these crazy moves, as we see Guild attempts to go around the outside again, overshooting it slightly, but he has the drive onto Malipard.
I think he'll probably be setting up a move on the brakes into turn 1. He's surely close enough to get a decent slipstream down the straight. He's going to pull out. He's already alongside into the braking zone. Manages to make the apex, and there you go. That is move done. Guild back up into 12th. I honestly wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be
was way
surprised
past.
to see him up in the top 5 at the end of this race.
I mean, he did qualify third, and so far he's gone from pretty much at the back to being 12th. So I'd say keep an eye out for him on the timing tower as the race goes on, but he's definitely going to be the one to watch to see this recovery race in action. Through the chicane, and again, look, he's like immediately he's on to his next target. He's on the back of Browning here through the second sector, and I think it's going to be a similar story. He's going to try and set it up for the second to last corner, try and wrap it around the outside once again. Got a drive down here. No, he considered it. He saw saw him almost pull out from behind.
Yeah, I was thinking he might have been close enough there, but this is looking very much so like a bit of deja vu from the lap previous, although he goes down the inside into the final corner and he gets the drive off. Can Browning come back at him? I'm going to be honest, if I was him, I'm not sure I would. I was talking about picking the battles again, but he's looking down the inside, not quite going to make that move happen. Maybe almost a bit defensive on Malipard behind as well.
And away he goes. Dave Guild up into 11th. Malipard is close. He's close enough now to perhaps consider something into the third sector at the end of this lap, but he's been behind him for a while, so we'll have to come back to that one. As we see Maz here trying to defend from Camille just behind. It's a striking colour combination here, the black and red. We've seen quite a few I'd say replica paint schemes here, so it's also nice to see a unique design on the grid with this Rebellion Racing Formula Renault come into the final sector.
Definitely got a very unique design on the Tulip Racing cars as well.
Yeah, the bright orange, I'm loving that with the lion head on the engine cover, which, I mean, on Guild's car we can't see anymore, but Hoekstra in third position, if we come back to him later on, we'll be able to see the lion. There it is. Look at that. Very, very proud. The Tulip Racing, the bright orange car, the lion, the coloured stripes on the side. I mean, you show me this livery and there's no other country that you'd be able to think of other than the Netherlands, so...
If the designer for this livery hasn't been paid, demand payment.
But I'll quickly go through our top 10 here, because it has shifted quite a bit from our qualifying positions. Boozy, of course, losing out to Vasiliev on turn 1. Guild no longer in that third position. Hoekstra taking that place as well. Oval also gaining positions due to Ilbrink and Guild's collision prior. And Ponick making his way up from 8th past Caballero to take that 5th position. Caballero in 6th. Maz, however, had a cracking start from 13th all the way up into 7th. He's defending from Camille just behind, who started in 9th. So Camille only gaining a position from the start. Killiard? Is it? I think it's Killiard.
Killiard. Probably Sillard.
Sillard. It's French. My bad. I don't get the flags until it appears on screen, so apologies to that. Killiard. Killiard. I'm bad at pronouncing words. I apologise. Moving his way up from 11th into 9th, and Maipard was 10th, down into 13th, and that left it wide open for De La Fuente to take that 10th position. So, I mean, it's been a shuffle, and mostly down to that early on collision between Guild and Ilbrink at the first chicane. I can't imagine that has done anyone any favours. Well, that circumstances we see
naturally, apart from the people that were behind them.
Oh yeah, people behind them are cheering at that. But as we saw here, Bruning going a bit wide, and this is a move into the chicane.
Ooh, Bruning just having to...
Malipard.
over that, and it doesn't look like he's recovered. He's still on the grass. Gonna have to recover that car.
Yeah,
it's getting its gear.
Yeah, Malipard made a move on the inside, and Bruning took to the runoff as you should, but attempted to go full speed through him and bouncing his way into a spin.
Getting spun by that sausage curb.
I mean, I did see Malipard going a little bit deep into that corner, but at the same time, Bruning had locked up the start of that turn, so both were not entirely under full control. And yeah, I mean, one driver came out worse off than the others. Such is racing, unfortunately. So we are on board with Maz. He's got Camille just behind. So he's had him there for quite a little while. Camille not really looking to make a move just yet. But he's getting ever closer to that Rebellion Racing number 31. So he's within half a second now, but dirty air through this fast left right. He's got to keep an eye. He's got to keep in check his grip. Camille does as they come into third to last. Gained a considerable amount into that braking zone, and again, much tighter line than Maz through there. And the final corner, let's see the difference in line here. Camille taking it ever so slightly tighter through there and absolutely extending the runoff. He's within 4/10 now as they come back across the line. Whew, 3/10 gained over that lap. Look at that.
Very nice. Just getting ever closer, but these cars don't seem to be the easiest to make overtakes in. Naturally, they are junior Formula cars, but Formula cars nonetheless, and being aero dependent just sort of hampers your ability to overtake at times, and naturally around Hungaroring that will just amplify that.
I mean, with the junior cars, it is from speaking with drivers who have actually driven these cars in real life, they do remark that they are harder to drive than maybe even a Formula 1 car or an Indy car and things like that, because they just don't have as much downforce and they don't have as much let's not say driver aids, but ability to adjust to the driver, if that makes sense. So these cars are spec, and because of that, it's such a it's got to be such a wide open kind of platform for these drivers that it is naturally more difficult to drive. So seeing these drivers, they're all on the road still, which is more than I could say if I was in the cockpit of one of these vehicles. So drivers really pounding in these laps, lap after lap, consistently in the low 31s all around. So congratulations to our drivers. We see Guild closed up on Malipard as they come into the first turn. Malipard not really wanting to give it away, but Guild just slipping through.
Yeah, that is in fact De La Fuente.
Coming
back into turn 3, not quite going to happen. And now Guild is free to focus on his next target. But I think one thing that we haven't talked about, coming roughly into halfway through this race, is pit stops.
Ooh.
So, each driver has 50% fuel than what they would have available to them in a normal race. So, I believe that is 55 litres. But this naturally means that they have to stop and take fuel, and naturally they're going to take tyres. at some point will be seeing people coming into the pits.
Will they try and just splash and dash though? Because if they're feeling good on their tyres toward the end of the stint, do you reckon anyone will just decide, you know what, I'm just gonna take fuel and take the couple of seconds advantage that gives them? Or do you reckon that's a bit too risky?
I have to admit, I don't think that's a good idea for them, simply because the tyres have to be going off by now. Surely. We're seeing the times come down, but that is most likely due to the fuel load coming down dramatically.
And a bit of track evolution as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit, it's still worth a couple of hundredths as each lap continues as well. So we'll probably get a good estimate of how badly their tyres went off once they file into the pit lane. It's a question of when. Who's going to blink first?
Yeah, exactly. It is quite interesting one. Looks like we've got a bit of a battle at the back. Ilbrink heading a small train in with Torres and Broning in it as well. Ilbrink has pitted. However, this was naturally on lap 1 after the incident.
Yeah, he's gained so much time. He was at the time of, I'd say, lap 10. He was 50 seconds down on the leader, and he's closed up that gap now.
Currently
right
a minute down on the leader.
Yeah, but he's maintained that. He's only lost 10 seconds to the leader, so he's maintained that gap to the car at the front with him having to go into the pit lane, whereas he's now starting to see the cars as... Whoa!
Torres getting into a bit of a spin, and then Ilbrink unfortunately nowhere to go, having to collect him.
Ilbrink getting some deja vu there, I think. Fortunate deja vu as he sees the car mount his front bumper straight into the pits.
Bringing himself into the pit lane.
Second incident he's been involved in is not looking too lucky as Ilbrink. Keep an eye on how long that pit stop takes. So we're on board with Maz. Still got Camille directly behind him. Camille really not letting up at all. See Maz go into the pit lane. So is this an undercut strategy? Yeah. I mean, I'd say undercut strategy to defend against an undercut strategy.
Yeah, we are roughly halfway through, so it seems to be about the time that we are going to be seeing pit stops. Maz, they're the first one to blink. First one that wasn't involved in intentionally to blink. Yeah,
intentionally blink, not scared into blinking with a car flying over his roll hoop. So we'll be able to see what a pit stop time is. A typical pit stop time is by watching him. It was 6.7 seconds in the pit stop, and that will give us a total time of 38 seconds.
38 exactly.
That's impressive. 38,000. Either the game's rounding it, or that is a very, very lucky rounding thing there. I like to think that times that to the 1,000th there on purpose. But so I have to keep track of who's been going into the pits. So Maz was just ahead of Killiard, who is Cilliard? Camille. It was Camille, my bad. Who was in 7th position. Who is in 7th position at the minute. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on when Camille comes in and whether Camille can make the overtake happen or not.
Let's do this for a bit.
That's a good idea.
Guild there once again setting the fastest lap of the race. as he's trying to track down Camille in the number 8 car.
It's probably in Camille's best interest to not battle this too much, because he's also got to consider that he's trying to race Maz, who's on the other side of the track to him right now. He's trying to open up as much gap as he can now with that clean air in front of him. So if Guild does go past, probably not the best idea to lose any time to that, or else he's going to be too far off Maz to be able to make a move later on in the race. So, see what he does here.
I think here the best strategy is to just pit this lap, because Guild's probably not going to get an opportunity until the last few corners either way. Maybe into turn 1, so if you just pit now, then that'll save you from losing any time. So we'll see what they decide to do. Not coming in.
Stays out. That's bold.
Yeah, there might be some information that we don't have, but personally I'm not too sure about that call.
He's probably feeling good on his tyres.
Yeah.
So if you can keep him back for this first part of the lap, or in this case, send him past, he's going to be running on less fuel for longer than Maz did as well. So that might be why he's continuing this push on this old set of tyres.
Yeah, true. That could be the thinking behind it. Well, to be fair, Camille has gained some time on Maz. In past we've got Kublaji into the pits as well.
Yeah, everyone's now firing themselves into the pit lane. Still waiting on a few of these other drivers to stop. We've got Camille.
Well, most of them haven't stopped.
Well, I mean, in particular, I'm interested in this Camille Maz kind of undercut attempt or defense attempt on the two cars. I mean, with all of the other cars up ahead, they are fairly spaced out to the point where overtakes are going to come from mistakes going into the pit lane rather than an undertake attempt. I think the drivers that are closest to being able to do that, other than potentially Guild on Camille as well, or vice versa, is probably the Caballero Ponic battle happening up in 5th position. They're a second apart, but if one of them makes a mistake in the pit lane, this could be closer than what's happening right now. There could be a battle coming out the pit lane, which is one that I very much like to watch.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where these drivers are pretty well matched to each other. So you're just going to sort of get this type of thing in these cars where they're probably not going to be making any overtakes on track. And one thing I want to know, actually, I'm just wondering if you know, does iRacing have different tyre sets?
I will look this up. I don't believe they do. Not for Formula cars anyway at the minute, but I will have a look.
Because that would be interesting if we had, for example, softs, mediums, and hards to choose from, like you would in real life. I'm not sure how real Formula Renault is done, but I would assume that there is some sort of choice.
Not for the Formula Renault 3.5. No? I believe currently the only car that does have it is the McLaren MP430. That one's the only one it has variable tyre compounds. So all of the cars will be running on the same tyre compounds throughout. It's just down to time management more than anything.
Okay. Well, thinking about that, most of the drivers choosing to go longer rather than stop early. So probably then favouring track position over anything else, which is definitely fair enough here.
I mean, what I've seen from other leagues and other races that I've seen in sim racing is that there's a GT series that you may or may not know of, Jason, that runs 2 pit stops and requires fuel over a 90-minute race. And what has happened mostly is that drivers will stop at the halfway point, fill up on fuel, and then pit the last lap and splash and dash. And it seems to be in that sense anyway that going longer is better, because it means you're running on less fuel for longer, even if that means that your tires are short, rather than going for the double stop and evening out your fuel that way. So maybe these drivers have already clued into this. Maybe the drivers know that running until you're basically on fumes is the preferable way to go. So we'll keep an eye out. Only a couple of cars have stopped. Only Maz, Santana, and Ilbrink have actually stopped at all. Ilbrink through no fault of his own for the second time there, and Maz and Santana have just stopped for the sake of fuel tires. So well, I think the real marker will be is when the leaders come in, because when the leaders come in, that will be the cascade of drivers stopping as well.
Well, it's the type of thing where I think track position is definitely going to be king here, mainly because A, it's Hungaroring, B, admittedly we haven't seen much on-track action, so overtaking is difficult, and C, it'll put you down about around 35 seconds.
I mean, we saw 38 seconds dead from Maz.
Yeah, but it'll put you down around 35 because you are still moving in the pit lane. As we say, that's De La Fuente coming into the pits.
Yeah, it is De La Fuente.
Its timing will be off because iRacing was having a bit of a moment there. It doesn't for some reason on my system it doesn't like to load all the cars at once, so sometimes cars on the other side of the track disappear. I have checked the settings and they are correct.
I mean, it's standard. I mean, if you've ever done a race around Le Mans or around Daytona or anything like that, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this crash happened on the other side of the track is, and it's just empty in the replay.
Yeah, so that 34.3 is probably more like 40 seconds stopped in the pits. But that does now mean that we're seeing more people in the pit lane, and what we are also seeing is Boozy has caught up to Vasiliev after they have both caught lap traffic of Hector Torres. He's now getting out of the way. Both of them were very close.
Boozy almost helping himself to the rear diffuser of his teammate just up ahead, so not helping this lap traffic being here for the two. We will hopefully see Boozy making his way past Torres as well. Such an awkward place to catch him, because it was the end of the straight and Boozy just carrying too much speed into the hairpin, and that just led to him being stuck behind him for 2 or 3 more corners, and that's time lost now for Boozy.
Yeah, if anything would have happened there, admittedly, I would not want to be in the team debrief.
No, I mean,
very interesting, and
self-sabotage.
Yeah, I'm just looking. We did miss Hoekstra being passed by Alvale, and it's telling me that he went off track, so I think that's probably worth looking at. So have a look. Oh, a little bit little bit of a half spin, managing to keep it out the wall. And then there you go, a valet just getting past.
Too much of the loud hill, I think.
Yeah, a little bit too much. So, Broning has come into the pits now.
Broning. So Browning's in the pit lane. We've got the. Sorry, the stops there. Getting very confused about who's in the pit lane. I'm still holding out for Camille coming into the pit lane. I'm still keeping an eye out for that because I want to see Maz's run down the pitch straight and Camille and where he'll come out from that. Because Maz was holding him behind him for such a long time, so keep an eye out for that. Boozy right now he gained a couple of tenths after that incident. He's gained 2 tenths onto Vasiliev up ahead, so it's not all lost. He's still got pace in him to try and send himself past. But Vasiliev maintaining pace out here. I think he's catching up to, is that Kubladju up ahead? I believe it is.
Yep, that would be. It's yeah, we're just getting into the stage where we're lapping a bit of traffic now. Naturally, these drivers are quite evenly matched, but even if you've got a 1.5 second difference between yourself and the leader, then you are probably going to be lapped.
Yeah, I mean, 39 laps, and a second and a half or 2 seconds down on that, and that's fairly easily being lapped within 30 to 40 laps. So the Cavaniero come across the line. Ponic going into the pit lane.
Yep, that's one of the first of our top 10 to pit, apart from Maz going in quite a lot earlier.
Indeed.
It might actually be interesting to see where Maz comes out in regards to Ponic. I'm not sure what their gap was before.
We'll have a quick look.
But
So
it looks like they're going to be about 10 seconds apart on exit.
I am investigating you here. So prior to them going into the pit lane, Ponic was 5 seconds ahead of Maz. So Maz has lost 5 seconds to Ponic overall.
They're quite a lot more than 10 seconds. It's about 17.
Oof. That early stop really not doing him any favors. Yeah, Camille was also about 5 seconds off Ponic as well. So that early stop really not doing many favors. But
Yep.
I mean, it remains to be seen.
We're now catching a valet coming into the pits. So yeah, it definitely looks like the strategy wants to be pit once you're empty, basically.
Yeah. So Valley was 6 seconds off, 7 seconds off the leaders. So he is kind of leading his own little pack just behind him, and Hoekstra were fairly close to each other. So Ollie's coming out of the pit lane now, a 37.7 second stop. So him and Hoekstra as well, we're going to be seeing whether they manage to maintain position or if a swap occurs. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these pit stop battles. We've got an actual on-track battle here between De La Fuente and Molnar, both of them having already stopped. Our lead car to have stopped so far is now Ponic, and it looks like we're going to have some action up front as Boozy takes the lead over from Vasiliev, as Vasiliev is now into the pit lane. We'll see whether people are responding. Hoekstra does not respond. Cavaniero doesn't either. Dave Guild is coming in.
So Guild into the pit lane. Camille stays out. I can't imagine that many of these drivers have much more fuel to allow them to do more than the next couple of laps, because at this point, 55 liters of fuel and 30 laps of fuel, they'll have to be using, a litre and a half, or even less than a litre and a half a lap for them to maintain this kind of fuel usage, because otherwise they're going to run out coming into the pit lane. I mean, with most of the cars in iRacing, I have noticed that once you are down to that last litre, it starts coughing.
Yeah.
And it's not worth going down to that last litre, because it just means that you lose more time than you would have gained from having a lighter car.
Yeah,
Boozy going to take this?
Well, we'll see, but it's definitely going to be a pit lane battle, and I would assume that he's got to come in, if not now, then probably on the next lap. And it looks like, he will be coming into the pits.
So the gap was about 7 tenths.
And it's currently 32 seconds. We'll keep an eye on Vasiliev, see where he comes out.
It was about 7 tenths when Vasiliev came into the pit lane. So we're going to have to keep an eye out to see where he's going to appear when Vasiliev comes around.
Still no time on Boozy's stop. Yep, he's now sat there, just got going. Where's Vasiliev? It's going to be close coming out. Does Boozy have it? Vasiliev round the outside. They're going to be side by side. Enough space has been left, and Boozy has kept it, but he is going to be on cold tyres. So we'll be able to see whether he can stay ahead.
Very wide line through there. He's going to have to cut back across, open up. And I'm calling it turn 3. I've decided that's turn 3. Coming into turn 4 now. And he's opened up 4 tenths from when he'd first come out the pit lane. So the undercut worked for Boozy. He managed to, he ran on a lighter car for that extra lap, and it made all the difference. So Hoekstra is going to feel very confident on his ability to stay ahead of... I've completely lost where I was, ahead of Oval. Which he has. So Hoekstra has all the undercuts seem to have worked as well, because Camille is way ahead of Maz from earlier. Hoekstra has gone ahead of Oval. Boozy is ahead of Vasiliev, and Guild maintains position ahead of Camille as well. So Guild fighting his way up from the back of the grid, and now he's well within the top 10. So later stop is better, as we have found.
Yeah, that's basically the synopsis that we're getting here, is that the later stop is better. Just, I think, quick time check to see. Yeah, we've got plenty of time left, so it's definitely going to come down to laps. And it's looking like we're probably going to be fairly settled.
That's an interesting lap from Ilbrink.
A very interesting lap down into the 29s. Whether there's a fastest lap point or not, I am not too sure. Have to see if I can find out. But if there is, then yeah.
29.6 on race fuel when our pole time was at 29.24. So 4 tenths off a optimal car lap is very impressive, considering he's got to be on, I'd say, about 20-25 litres of fuel to make it to the end. So congratulations to Ilbrink as he makes his way past Torres back of the grid. We're on board with Ponick now. Ponick only a second behind Caballero, who has been holding this 5th spot for the majority of the race. As we go on board, as we see a little bit of smoke from, I believe that's Kublaji there. Yes, Kublaji there. Just misjudging how wide the track is there as he come into the first turn. Gained 2 tenths. Literally on that straight alone, 2-3 tenths on Caballero. Caballero's going to have his work cut out as they come through turn 2. Ponic keeping it to the left, open up this right-hander as they come down the straight now, maintaining position just behind, trying to use as much of that slipstream as possible. Dirty air through the left-hander will slow him down somewhat, and he's back down to 8 tenths behind into the chicane now, trying not to fling the car too much, staying off the sausage curves there, and into the left-right S's. This one is slightly tighter than the next one, as we see here. Much more speed able to be maintained there, a gear higher and a couple of kilometers an hour faster as they come into the final sector of the lap. Second to last turn, a full 180. And it is quite a unique turn because it goes all the way out over the pit lane entrance. Final turn, going to see if he uses the AstroTurf on exit. It does almost eclipse the DRS sign. Ponic still maintaining that 3/4 of a second gap to the car ahead. He's going to be wanting to speed his way past as soon as possible because we've only got 6.5 more laps of racing to go. It's going to be down to the wire between these two.
Yep, definitely. It's it's been a battle that we've been seeing for most of the race, really. It's, I say battle, they've been within a second of each other for most of it.
Yeah, it's... I mean, the previous battles that we were seeing before have now opened up due to the differing pit stop choices. We saw Hoekstra and Raval were only half a second gap between each other, but now that Hoekstra managed to undercut him, there's a second gap between them. We see Molnar go into the pit lane for a second time. I might have misjudged his fuel strategy there, so not entirely sure what that's about.
That would be rather unfortunate, but one thing that I do want to point out with this Ponic Caballero battle is look who is right behind them.
Guild.
Yep, Dave Guild is, well, working his way up towards them. His last lap was about 6 tenths faster than Ponic's. So we'll see what this lap is in comparison. And it looks like, once again, about 6 tenths difference between them. So catching 6 tenths a lap, then he's going to be right on the back of them coming in at the end of the race.
The thing I'd also like to point out is that Kublaji has disappeared, it seems, from our race.
Changes to scenic when I change to him, so that's
Molnar as well. Is Molnar still with us?
Looks like that is a no. I think
Santana.
I think we'll be able to see what happened to Kublaji actually. I've got a replay that says he crashed, so...
Yeah, Kublaji, I saw on the relative, just lost a lot of time and then disappeared. Managed to keep it out the wall.
Yeah. Maybe just got bored with it and left. I'd say fair enough. Going down at the back.
I mean,
it's unfortunate to
see,
but
is.
That's how it is. And who
Hoekstra.
is this? Hoekstra, right by Vasiliev.
Vasiliev was much more clear earlier on, so something may have happened with Vasiliev earlier on. No, from my timings here, Hoekstra has just been pulling in Vasiliev, so Vasiliev has made a mistake at some point, perhaps not taking tyres, because he's lost 3 seconds onto Busy up ahead, and Hoekstra has just been pulling him in lap after lap after lap.
I mean,
so
maybe not, but the pit stop times were fairly similar, so I would assume they're on basically the same strategy.
Which doesn't explain Vasiliev's sudden drop-off in pace. So...
May have been a small error that's just dropping him back into the path of Hoekstra. We'll see whether he can do anything with it and try and overtake the former leader of this race.
I mean, Hoekstra has been hereabouts in the top, the pointy end of the grid, I'd like to say, and he's been showing his consistency. There we go, consistency with his lap times, because constantly, low 31s, high 30s, lap in, lap out, and he's going to try and make it from his gains here, probably a last lap pass, unless something happens with this traffic up ahead.
Yeah, it'll have to be... well, we've seen the pace that Vasiliev has, so it'll have to be fairly late on, I think. But it's also the case of, if you've got an opportunity for an overtake, don't lose it because you want to do it later, because, well, we know what track we're at by now, and it's definitely not the easiest to overtake at, so you're going to have to get it done.
I mean, it might just become a Hail Mary thing last lap. Make a dive on the inside, put your car in, and hope that it doesn't result in him getting reprimanded when he causes a significant incident. So it might just be a close my eyes and last on the brakes kind of deal here as we close up on that car.
Yeah, I believe that's Broning, so...
Yeah.
That's, didn't get in the way for either of them. Looks like Vasiliev took a bit of a wider line through the final corner, and that's going to allow him a bit of a run out onto the straight.
Yeah, Vasiliev loves that wide line into that last turn. Been doing it all race, so all the other drivers taking, a very tight inside line, and he just sends it to the outside and straightens up that exit, and it's paying off because he didn't give Hoekstra the toe as aggressively as he could have. Having said that, though, ever closer.
Yeah, well, I think that line is definitely a good one when you've got someone right behind, because it also means that you take more speed onto the straight.
Indeed.
And then, even if they do have the toe, it's a lot more difficult for them to actually do anything with it.
We're also seeing a battle for 10th position between Maz and Malipard. Just back there, they are coming through the mid-sector, so perhaps toward the end of the lap we might see a little switcheroo, but for the time being, it's just sat on his rear, so we'll keep you updated on that. For the time being, this battle for second place between Vasiliev and Hoekstra as we come into the third to last lap, I believe. Oh, nope, second to last lap.
Yep, now crossing into the
Boozy.
Second to last lap as our leader Boozy goes across the line. Vasiliev setting a 30.3, 30.7 from Hoekstra.
Yeah, he's pulling out all the stops now.
Yep,
Conserving
now
his tyres just for a second.
this is also happening now as well. Guild on Ponic. So it's now a decision of who do we watch, because it feels like there's going to be overtakes at 3 places at once, and naturally we've got one pair of eyes.
Coming into turn 4. Guild absolutely, he's been cutting up this field. People say you can't overtake at Hungaroring, and Guild has thoroughly disproved that with almost 10 places gained over the course of this race. He would probably love to be, nice comfortable race, up in the top 3, but this recovery drive has been one to watch from Dave Guild. Come into the last S. Guild is close, not quite close enough to consider a dive on the inside. Way into the final 2 turns, final 2 hairpins.
Meanwhile...
No! Guild pushing too hard there, and unfortunately spinning it, and he's coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, Avale has caught these 2 as well. So, this is one that I'm definitely going to be watching on the final lap. Can Vasiliev keep his cool and keep Hoekstra and Avale behind him?
Ooh, Guild, I believe, has a drive-through.
Ah.
Maybe why.
Maybe so.
I'll have to keep an eye on that timer, but for the time being...
No, he did stop, so...
He did stop, okay. No!
Might have been some damage repair.
It was a 30-second pit lane trip, so it was definitely 4 seconds quicker, so probably perhaps fuel. Just a very quick
it said he stopped from for 8.4 seconds, so...
Very strange.
He's now directly on the back of Malipard again.
Oh, he's playing spoiler here, because Malipard has been pushing to try and catch up to Maz, and now he's got to consider the car behind and the car in front with Malipard. So Maz taking the defensive line on the inside of Malipard.
Meanwhile,
taking the bait
is happening. Boozy has come across the line to win the race. Malipard trying to go down the inside there. He's going to have to defend from Guild now. It's ended Vasiliev in second, Hoekstra third, Avale fourth. And this battle is still as close as ever. Is one of them going to make a lunge on one of the final corners? Malipard looked for it, but he's going to have to look behind now in the mirrors for Guild. He's going to try and set it up for the final corner.
Come through the final corner. He tried to make a move on the inside, but Maz covering it off, and it looks to be finishing in this order: Maz, Malipard, and Guild. Very interesting battle, almost coming together after the line.
And the last driver to finish is Javier De La Fuente in 12th position. Wow, wasn't that a race?
Very, very interesting from all around, from those pit stop. Well, that first lap, that chaos between Elbrink and Guild, the pit stop, differing pit stop choices from everyone around, the undercuts, the overcuts, the battle out the pit lane between our leaders, and Guild scything through the race, you know, from the back all the way up to almost the top 5 finish, but fortunately having to come into the pit lane for something we'll need to find out about later on. But what a race!
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great one, and I can now confirm the results, naturally unofficial as we do not have any live stewarding, but Christoph Bouzy coming in to win the Hungarian Grand Prix in the eFormula 3.5 series for Atomic Racing. His teammate on the second step of the podium, Pavel Vasiliev, only 3.2 seconds behind, and Tulip Racing's Danny Hoekstra in third, with Avale fourth and Caballero fifth for Iridium Motorsports. Mark Ponek in 6th, and Vandendries Camille in 7th, with Christophe Szilard in 8th, Leonardo Maz in 9th, and Christian Cornelis Malipard in 10th. Dave Guild coming 11th after having to fight back through the field. Unfortunate half spin at the end meant that he dropped about 4 positions. Javier De La Fuente, for some reason not showing his full name, but He finished in 12th for 0x team. Mark Broning in 13th and Hector Torres 14th. Iram Santana finished in 15th with Paul Ilbrink in 16th. I don't believe he finished the race, along with Craig Molnar 17th, Mehdi Kubladji in 18th, and Brandon Perry did not start.
Well, that was a race and a half. There was all sorts going on. I still want to know what happened on that first lap between Guild and Ilbrink, because they were, fairly high qualifiers.
Session hasn't finished, so if I can find it, we might be able to have a look. Right. Oh, there we go.
Ilbrink misjudging the brakes, it seems.
Yeah, let me just pause that. We have the ability to rewind time.
Yeah, you can see the front tyres.
Yeah, if we just play that.
No, he'd hit him before.
It just seems to go around the back.
Yeah, so potential stewarding shenanigans may occur after this race.
We'll have a look from the onboard perspective to see. Ooh, yeah, just appears to not brake. It's lap 1, so naturally you have to brake a bit earlier. Clearly Ilbrink not expecting to have to brake as early as he would have had to. And then, yeah.
Bizarre occurrences here. So,
yeah, I think now it's time for a bit of a break for us, because we will be back in approximately 20 minutes for the Formula 3 series at Phillip Island. So we will see everyone then. I've been Jason Sawford, joined by Marley Watts, and we will be back in about 20 minutes.
See you then.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We are now in the Formula 3. It's the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island. I am Jason Sawford, once again joined by Marley Watts.
Hello, it's great to be back.
Yep. So, back after the rather eventful Formula 3.5 race now to cover the Formula 3 at a track I have to admit I have not seen a race on before.
Phillip Island. It's a unique track. It's a counterclockwise and fairly flowing racetrack. There's not a lot of consistent radius corners or sharp 90 degrees. It's all cut into the hilly landscape that we do have here at Phillip Island. But yeah, it should be a interesting day of racing. We've got well, how about you take us through the format?
Yeah, sure. So we have a 15-minute or 11-lap sprint. I believe that's supposed to be 11 laps, and then 15-minute is just sort of a time limit in case they don't get there. And then I believe, if I remember correctly, it was a 40-minute. We'll find out when we get into the.
It was a 40-minute. Yeah, 40-minute.
Yeah.
And I imagine that grid position is decided off that sprint race.
Yes, yeah. I remember seeing that it is grid position from the sprint race in the feature and then top 5 inverted.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So mixing it up a bit in the second race. Then in the first race purely off of the qualifying session that we're about to get into. Just to give you all an idea of the times that we currently have, these are people's best times so far.
Indeed, so it seems to be a 22, a late 22, early 23 kind of a lap time around here with our drivers. So fairly competitive. All the drivers seem to be fairly close together in terms of lap time. So we'll be seeing a qualifying occur shortly. It is a beautiful track here, Phillip Island. So it's a long downhill right-hander into a very, very wide sweeping hairpin. Almost, it doesn't quite seem like it, but it has a little bit of banking toward the end. And into Stoner Corner, it's called. I find that very amusing. Into another hairpin. This one's almost a double apex. You want to cut in, go wide, cut back in again into Siberia, which is another long sweeper. Yeah, these corner names are fantastic. A short burst of speed through this flat-out right-hander to Lukey Heights, which is a long left-hander climbing toward the sky into a sharp hairpin. So I can imagine this will be where, if any, we'll be seeing a first lap lock-up. And through another set of sweeping corners into our final lap, the pit lane just off to the left-hand side there, into the close of the lap. So it's a very unique track. It's not designed in the same way as the Formula One tracks, Herman Tilke style of let's plop a big straight here and a 90-degree corner at the end. It seems to be more of reminiscent of the early 20th century tracks. I mean, this track was initially a road course in the 1930s, and now a permanent racetrack on this lovely island. So, Ortuño, Ortuño, currently our fastest driver at 26.6. 3 seconds off what we were seeing toward the end of practice. So this should be the fastest laps being set right now. Cars behind, very close together, the 14 and the 61 of Bruning, and I can't quite see who that 14 is. They are fairly close together.
The 14 is Marine.
Well, they're nose to tail further back. Purple sector, Fortunio in sector 2, Bruning stealing that first sector time, and that will give him a 23.4. What can Bruning do coming around across the line? That will be a 123.4.
Valid by the looks of things.
Yeah, invalid, unfortunately. So, not able to improve.
Alex Roggenbuck improving into second, and then immediately Matthew Gracie improving back. I don't think he was in second place before, but he's now in second place.
Yeah, some of these drivers have come over from the Formula Renault 3.5 race that we saw at Hungaroring prior. So, some familiar faces on the track as we speak. Ortuño, double purple sectors coming through. Can he make it 3 for 3 as he comes through into turn 10? Off to the side there. Can't quite see who that is.
Barrier. I believe that would have been either Marine or Broning.
Probably Marine, I think. And Ortuño across the line. 22.7. So we're whistling down these times very quickly.
Definitely wasn't Marine, so...
It might have been Kaufman then, because it was a Ferrari livery, I believe.
It's,
Roggenbuck with a 23.9. Across the line for Bruning.
This car?
Gracie.
Oh, yeah, it was Kaufman. Or Kaufman.
Kaufman yet to set a lap. Oh. This track, I'm not. Is this I wouldn't know, but is this track in the Oceania F3 calendar? Because I know that they have an F3 season down there.
You know what? I will look that.
These tracks in Australia are a world apart, I'd say, from the tracks that you'd normally see in Europe or in America. You've got the paperclip, which is a very bizarre track. It's almost just like a circle with an infield, and it's very popular with V8 supercars. And then you've got the road courses. You've got Adelaide. You've got Bathurst as well. It's all fairly small scale in terms of the facilities, but you get a very unique driving experience around these racetracks. So we see Bruning take the second place from Gracie, also delving into the 22s, only a 10th off the pole time. So at the minute we have Ortuño, Bruning, Gracie, Marine, Roggenbuck, and Kaufman in that order. Kaufman a couple of seconds down to the field, but I imagine that was his banker lap pushing into a full speed lap now.
I can confirm that there isn't anything, there doesn't appear to be anything called like Oceania or Oceanic F3.
No, Oceanic F3. I could not remember the name. I know there's one in New Zealand.
That is, if it is, then it's not anymore. Oh, Toyota Racing Series is
That
yeah.
is it.
That's what
Toyota
that is.
Racing
But it's
Series.
We won't dwell on that as Ortunio's coming across the line. Is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. 122.485 as Marine behind him improves to a 122.7.
Yeah, this track mainly is for the 8 supercars. That's what it is. So, see, woof, who's that off to the side there?
That would have been
Teammate.
Marine. They are a teammate to Ortunio.
Very interesting way of getting out of the way of the cars behind. As we see Ortunio repay the favor. Whoa! Oh!
Oof.
Yeah. Can't imagine that's going to reflect too well in the race debrief later.
Right.
Bit of a donut on the racetrack.
Yeah, let's have a look then now at Matthew Gracie, who has improved for Sector 1, not an improvement in Sector 2, but we'll have a look to see whether he can do anything in Sector 3 to improve on his time of a 123 flat, trying to get into the 122s.
Around the final bend. What's this going to be?
It is a 122.784, put him up into third place.
Pair off Bruning. I mean, Ortunio has extended his time to a 22.48, but Bruning and Gracie and Marine all less than a tenth apart. So keep an eye out for that on race start as we see
Bit of an incident there between Marine and Kaufman.
Yeah, I can't imagine Kaufman was expecting there to be a car on the inside during his qualifying lap. So some shenanigans going on so far with our qualifying session. Cars everywhere. See Bruning attempting to get clear of this mid-pack on the qualifying board as Ortunio, I think he's chasing the Ortunio time. He's 3/10 down on Ortunio at the minute. Got a green first sector. He's gone gold in the second. Really desperately needs a green sector for this final one to even gain anywhere close. Around the final bend down the straight. Will it be?
That's going to be another 22.7. That's 3 times in the 22.7. It's 22.715. It is an improvement. Just.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he'll be resting on his laurels the minute because he wants to get clear of this dangerous mid pack here because they're all so close on lap times. You know, any one of them could be taking that second slot on the front row. We see Ortunio going around as Bruning sets a purple first sector. So, blistering pace through the first part of the lap. You can maintain pace, get a couple of green or purple sectors for the rest of the lap. It's gone gold sector.
Yeah, it looks to me like no one's able to improve in Sector 2, so either it just so happens that they've all had a magical Sector 2 in one of their first laps, or there's some sort of track evolution which means that Sector 2 is somehow slower. But either way, Mark Bruning is going to come across the line, and it is going to be another 122.7. 122.709.
He went purple first sector, purple last sector. So how slow was that middle sector? Because that middle sector alone must have to have been at least 2/10 slower than what Ortunio did.
Yeah.
So
his middle sector was a 25.2 that lap. I don't think I have access to what the fastest middle sector so far is. So
I mean, I'd imagine that is within, maybe below into maybe like the 24, high 24.9. I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well, he's
Bruning
gone
again
purple
goes
again.
purple.
Yeah. So it's still going for it. He's
he's
actually
gone green.
green this time. So if he can even get a green third sector, maybe even purple, then he may be looking for a pole time here.
Little flick of the rear of the car as he comes through the last turn. Down the pit straight. What'll it be? Will it be the gold? That still could be a great final sector.
Ooh.
10th off.
122.597. I have noticed that the graphics on the bottom do show a time that's about a second slower than what they have actually set. So please do keep that in mind if you're watching those graphics at the bottom. Just notice
I think the graphics at the bottom just continue counting until the
yes,
lap time comes through. So just keep an eye on the plus number on the right hand side. That gives you how far away they are from pole. As Bruning again goes purple in the first sector. He's really found a rhythm in that first part of the lap. Come on, go purple second sector. We've been seeing gold all this time. Gold again. What has Ortuño found in that middle sector that no one else can find? Around does Kaufman, wanting to cement himself into the 23s. Gets a 23.5, not too far off Roggenbuck.
Is this going to be any improvement for Bruning? Probably not. No, it's a 122.7.
Tyres likely going off.
You said, what has Ortuño found in the second sector that no one else has? What have they all found in the second sector that no one else has? Because, ooh, bit of a spin there for Bruning. Because it would be green, as has come up with Alphon Marine,
Ortuño
if they're just improving on themselves. Ah, there you go.
So that's interesting.
Qualifying is
Marine has,
very suddenly over.
I guess everyone's laps were invalid, I would imagine, at the end of that.
Yeah, it may well be true. So that means we can run over the grid. We've got it says 7 cars, we've got a 6-car grid because I know that Danny Hoekstra isn't taking part in this race. Sergio Ortuño in first with Mark Bruning in second. Matthew Gracie is in third with Alphon Marine in fourth. Alex Roggenbuck is in fifth, and David Kaufman starts sixth.
Yes, so all of these drivers, we're only seeing 4 on the grid right now. We're just waiting on the last couple of cars to join us for the beginning of the race. I've not seen this track. I've not seen this track on a racing lap yet. So the first turn is a long, sweeping turn. There's no real sharp braking point until they get to turn 4. So we could be seeing them run side by side for a significant part of this first sector. So hopefully everyone keeps their wheel wells fairly separate from each other. I have raced these cars before, and they do like to get airborne if you do touch another car, so careful on that front. I believe we're just waiting on our pole sitter Ortuño to join us.
Not on the grid yet, so hopefully he will be there fairly soon. Unless he's planning on starting from the pit lane, of course. Ah, there we go. So we should have the lights on fairly soon. We will hear when they start revving. And getting ready. Here we go then for the heat. And
Lights
it's
out, away we go.
Marine. A great start for Ortuño, and a great start actually there for Matthew Gracie, who is immediately coming alongside Mark Broning. And almost nearly getting an overtake done there. Broning is now alongside Marine. But overall, all very clean.
Still side by side between Gracie and Brennan, coming to the first full braking point on the track. Turn 4, the Honda corner. Let's see how they do. Still side by side. They're not letting this go. It's only the heat, mind. This does determine the starting order for the next race, and Gracie only just ahead. I imagine on this right-hand turn he'll take it. And yes, he's ahead now. Marine also having a little look at the back of Bruning. Bruning having to stop the attack to defend for a second as he goes very deep. Very deep into turn 10. Shades of the Formula Renault race from earlier, I see.
Yeah, if you want that around for that, there was a bit of an incident at Hungaroring into the chicane on the first lap between two of our drivers.
Gracie being one of them.
No, Gracie was not racing in the last race.
Gracie. Guild, my bad. It's a G. I'm getting G'd up here. It was Guild.
Yeah, the only person that we are sharing between both races is Mark Broning, I believe. And speaking of, he is going for another overtake. Well, I say another overtake. He's trying to get his second place back. Around the outside of Matthew Gracie. And we'll have the inside for the next turn. Is it going to work? Yes, it is. It's going to allow Marine alongside Gracie as well. This is some great action in the first few laps of the heat.
They're really going hammer and tongs at it right now as Marine taking the inside line. Down the hill they go. This corner, very tricky to get the braking right. As we've seen as Marine goes around.
Marine has spun it there, just touching the wall, and well, that's that battle between Gracie and Marine quite suddenly over. Gracie there managing to keep the third place.
Do remember, this is again just the heat. This is qualifying positions. They'll all be within a couple of tenths of each other. Again, when we do restart the next race, but this does also give points, I believe, so drivers will be trying absolutely everything, but it's not the end of the world if they do crash out.
Yeah, I mean, naturally in a heat, you're going to be going for it a bit more than you would in the feature race. It's just sort of about finding the limit, and I guess Marine found the limit at that point in time.
Yeah, the limit of the racing surface, it seems, just tapping his rear wing into the wall, but he's right back in it. He's only 5 seconds off the back of the pack, so we might be seeing him attempt a couple of moves later on, but for now, Bruning. Tunio has also gone off. Same place as well.
That was an interesting place to be off. He's now got Rockenbuck right behind him. So we'll see if this pans out into a battle, and then we'll go back and have a look at what happened to Ortuño. But for now, Rockenbuck looking maybe into turn 1. Such a high-speed corner, nothing's going to happen into there. Ortuño very wide. Getting the run out onto the straight though.
I think Tunio has recovered himself back into the race. So Do we see a replay of what happened to Ortunio?
That up now. And is it going to be brakes locking? Looks like it was a bit of a lock. Just running wide instead of spinning.
That corner there, you because you're coming over a crest, the car gets fairly light. So if you start braking then, the brake pressure that you're putting on then won't be enough to slow you down fully for the full corner. So then you apply more brake pressure, and then you lock, and then you're going straight on. These cars, I don't know if our viewers are fully, if our viewers are aware, but these cars, no ABS, no TC. It's all about making sure that your brake bias is in the right place at the right time. These cars scream through that southern bend, making our way through Sterner Corner once more and into
you really do like that corner name.
I feel that because this is such an old track, it did mean something completely different back then. I can't imagine they would name a corner after what it is I'm thinking of. I think it may have something to do with the quarrying or the like. Through here.
I guess we can say that for what was it, probably 1930s Australia when this was built?
Yeah, 1928 I believe the first race was.
Oh, close enough. Right, Ortunio here on the back of Kaufmann coming up onto the straight. He's definitely got a run. And looking towards the right hand side, that is going to be the inside for the first corner. And he can get that done.
Yeah, Kaufmann not wanting to put up too much of a fight. He made that move across the track, bended as much as he could, but by that point Ortunio had figured him out and came alongside and took the preferable line through T1. So, but I mean, Kaufmann has, he's gained 2 positions off that start, 3 positions if Ortunio hadn't have gone back past him. So right now he must be very happy that he's in a position to more than double his initial starting position from the back of the grid to the middle row. So
yeah,
he's going to have to keep an eye out because Marine has set the fastest lap of the race into the 22s. So he's going to be keeping an eye on his rearview mirrors for the time being.
Yeah, very good lap time there. It's actually quicker than what Marine had set in qualifying. So I don't know whether the track now is just quicker or what. It's got to be, because they've got to be carrying more fuel. So,
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Roggenbuch and Kaufmann are setting. I mean, they're setting fairly equal lap times to qualifying. So yeah, it might. But we also have to consider it is slightly later in the day as well. So, temperature fluctuations also has to be considered.
Yeah, naturally. Let's see what our leader's getting up to, Mark Broning. Naturally driving around the Phillip Island race circuit.
Imagine at this point he's looking too far into his rearview mirror. The two fastest drivers who were alongside him on the start have disappeared, and Gracie as well, our fastest, the other fastest driver, is just too far away at the time being to make a move. So, but now at the very least he is in a very advantageous position. He's just allowing this race to just cruise along. Just let let it come to him, take that pole position for the feature, and just take those points home.
Yeah, it'll surely be slightly disappointing for eFormula at the moment being in 6th place, considering after the first round at Long Beach he is joint top with Sergio Ortuño. So both of them evidently would have wanted to be further up the top to try and, well, keep that lead in the championship that they share, the two teammates. But neither of them quite there at the moment, but naturally this is the heat and we still have the feature to go. So probably not too worried.
No, I can't imagine he's stressing too much. I mean, the points in this race will not compare to the points that they get in the final race. So as long as they... Bruning, oof, very interesting one there. As long as they get a good start in the next race, I don't think they'll be thinking too much about the shortcomings of this event. Marine onto the back of Ragenbuch, taking the outside line through T1 with the superior speed going all the way out, hugging the inside curb and just getting past Ragenbuch there. Very clean move, if I do say so myself.
Yep, he's now going to be trying to have a charge now forward towards Kaufmann. Back up to get a few more points, but he is 4 seconds behind, so in the roughly 2.5 laps that we have left to go in this heat, that's going to be quite a tall order. But we'll see.
I mean, yeah, just...
People have made mistakes
We've got to
this
let it
race,
play
so...
out. I mean, anything can happen toward the end of this race. You know, someone could have underfueled. Could be another one of those nasty spins this turn here. You know, anything is possible, especially with everyone going flat out. It's just a sprint race. You know, it's just a 10-lap romp around a racetrack. So you might as well go for broke. It's not going to affect you as much as if you go for broke right at the beginning of a 40-minute race and end up in the grass. So, yeah, put it all on the line. Let's see it.
And I'd like to apologise for if anyone can hear any bangs in the background, because I think, as we say background, Ragenbuch goes for a bit of a spin in the background. I think some of my neighbours are having some fireworks, so...
What is the occasion today for fireworks?
In the UK, at least, nothing.
Right, that's interesting.
So, might be someone's birthday. Who knows? But either way, if you hear that, then then you know what it is. And my apologies to you.
Very interesting time for fireworks, anyway. I mean, what, a 9 o'clock in a day with no particular meaning is very interesting as we come into the final lap, which does have meaning. Running at the minute 2 seconds ahead of Gracie, who is currently trying to stay clear of Ortuño just behind, who is making a little bit of an inroad to his lap time right now. But as it stands, Bruning and Gracie will be taking the front 2 positions of the grid, closely followed by Ortuño and Kaufmann on the second row, and Marine and Ragenbuch taking the third row, 5th and 6th positions. However, Ortuño, he's gained 5/10 just in that first part of the lap alone. Gracie almost a sitting duck right now. He's got to try and defend coming into this last part of the lap. He doesn't want to give Junior a toe down the straight, so he's going to have to try and get the best run as he can out of this corner. smoke puffing up. Ortunio another 10th closer. They come through the final turn. Looks to be Gracie taking this one. They come over the line. It is Bruning to take the win for this sprint race. Gracie in second, Ortunio in third. With a 22.2. Wow. Ortunio really pulling out all the stops to try and get that position, but to no avail. Unfortunately, Kaufman in fourth, Marine in fifth, and Roggenbuck to take the final checkered. An event.
Once again, I feel like apologising for the fireworks because they appear to have got louder rather than getting at all quieter. So we are now just between races. We're now in the warm-up. I believe, as you can see, there it's only a 3-minute warm-up, so we get to think about how that last race went. If there's anything particular to talk about, it was
the bottle. It was the bottle from Ortunio. Fortunate for him, he was out and out the clear favourite to win that race, but yeah, that's what happens, just overconfidence on the brakes or lapse of judgment or just missing your braking point. It happens so easily, and that's what sent him off the racetrack. The same with Marine. Both of these drivers were very clearly absolutely out of the fastest drivers on the grid, but you need that consistency to be able to maintain position in any race. You could be the fastest hot lapper in the world, but if you don't have consistency, you're going to be in a barrier or in some grass. So they're going to hope that in the next race it's going to be a little bit more plain sailing for them, but keep an eye out for that lap one with the cold tires especially.
Well, I have now closed my window, so hopefully it's slightly less loud.
It's just a low rumble, it's fine, don't worry. It just sounds
Lovely.
like you're moving around on your chair or something.
Lovely.
At this point.
Well, that works for me then. So once again, just waiting for the warm-up to finish so that we can get racing in the feature. If any of you wanted to get a drink or wanted to go to the toilet, there was your time. Almost feels like a last call before we start racing again.
So, is there any need for these drivers to take a pit stop race?
That I cannot answer. I will see if I have anything. This is the Formula 3 is quite a new season. Well, I say it's a new season, it's a new series because we are in season 1 and this is race 2.
I am currently on their website. It is a lovely website, by the way, eFormulaSeries.net. You can register as a driver there if you so wish. The rules and format, it's a lovely website, honestly. So, it's fixed setup series as well. And yes, it is a 50% capacity fuel, so these drivers will have to pit at least once.
And here is the grid. So naturally, top 5 inverted, and then Roggenbuck behind.
So Marine hoping to make up for previous mistakes. Ortunio on the second row of the grid as well, hoping to slipstream with his teammate. We get prepared to Go.
Yep, they are just gridded now. And we are underway. It's a good start from Marine, and once again a good start from the third place driver. Ortunyo all straight past Kaufman already. So we can see the two teammates, Marine and Ortunyo, at the front. Kaufman remaining in third. Broning has made up a position to go into fourth place.
Backwards.
Yep, Kaufman
Everybody
is backwards
avoided that.
in the grass. Well, gravel. But apart from that, everyone got away nicely. Broning just looking onto the inside of Ortunyo. That's not happening.
So heading down, so turn 10. This is where we saw our drivers, our two lead drivers, have their issues. So coming around this crest, it's this downhill braking zone, cold tires. We see anybody slip up this time around. A little puff of smoke from our leader, a little puff of smoke from Gracie's car. But overall, all drivers made it through without too much fanfare. Down onto the pit straight, and our first lap order is Marine Ortunyo, Bruning, Gracie, Rolenbuck, and Kaufman a little ways back.
Yeah, I have a feeling these top two are going to be quite close to each other throughout the race. We've seen Ortunyo with a bit more pace than Marine so far. Obviously Marine on pole because of the reverse grid, but it's looking like we could have a tasty battle because there's less than a second between all three of our top drivers.
Indeed, these drivers, as close as they can be right now, they're making their way around the sweeper. Yeah, the front three drivers, there we go, are sticking together fairly closely. We've got a little group with Gracie Rolenbuck just behind. These front three are looking very racy right now. Bruning closes ever closer to Ortunyo. Ortunyo locking his front right, it seems, through turn 10. And Bruning is now in a very advantageous position. He gets that draft all the way down the pitch straight. Is he going to have a look into turn 1? Not quite close enough, it seems. Bruning goes fastest.
I would say he wasn't quite close enough, but here we go. As Ortunyo going a bit wide through turn 1 has allowed Bruning around, maybe trying the outside around the sweeping hairpin. That's not quite going to work out for him, and I think down the straight Ortunyo was helped by the fact that he's got his teammate in front of him. As Bruning looks to the left, is it going to work? That's going to be the outside for another hairpin. Is he still alongside?
The inside.
Ooh. Not quite.
Very brave from Ortunyo. He knew where Bruning was and he just cut in to take that perfect line. Coming back up the hill again. This is turn 10 once more. Heavy braking zone. Is Bruning going to try something here? He is.
Oh, he's locked it and spun it.
Oh,
it's off on the grass.
Disappointing.
We'll try and recover that now.
He had probably a little bit too much speed to go cleanly alongside him for the apex, because quite rightly he applied more brakes, because otherwise he'd have been into the side pod of Ortunyo, and that'd have been a whole different problem for both drivers.
Only losing 2 positions, but admittedly losing quite a lot of time. My timing screen says that Rolenbuck was off the track for about 30 seconds quite recently, so I'll have a look and see what that might be. And, ooh, a bit too much speed in. Ooh,
Oh.
straight into the wall.
That can't be a healthy car.
And similarly...
Yeah, no, it's all the steering
yeah.
is
Oh,
all the steering
Straight into
is
another barrier.
completely gone. Oh, what he's trying to achieve.
and I believe this Kaufman incident was off the start. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
I just had a spin there into the gravel.
well clear of the wall though, so he's at the very least going to inherit 5th position. So a consolation prize at the very least.
Yeah, that was the incident with Kaufman at the start, and it looks like Roggenberg is coming to the pits naturally.
Yeah, Brenning setting the fastest lap of the race, a second faster than what Gracie managed to do up ahead. So at this point, it's going to be damage control for the next 10 laps and hopefully be able to get back into this top 3 battle. But at the minute, they're running 1 and 2, these Iberian cars with the black and electric green paint jobs.
They are a part of the... just find it, the 0x racing team. So it'd be interesting to know how many X they have currently.
Well, right now they're on 0x.
Oh.
Only drivers with any X's at the minute are 4th and down. It is 10x to get a drive through. Currently Roggenbuck on 4, Kaufman on 2, and Bruning on 3. But yeah, I mean,
Speaking of Browning, he would have had an incident to allow Kaufman past, and my timing screen is telling me that he did, so we'll have a look at that. That's Ortunio. There we go. It swaps to the right driver. It's a little spin.
he's absolutely.
Oh, and just
And
spinning
he's
on the
spun
rejoin.
again. He's trying to eke out all of the performance from this car, and
So somehow Kaufman got past. Is it
he
just
go wide?
probably
Yeah.
the rears a bit hot, and then he went wide because of that.
Yeah. It's
Let's
the
Kaufman through.
right side tyres.
Yeah. Always useful to have the replay feature so that we can know exactly what happened on track.
Yeah, at the minute, Kaufman is technically right now, Kaufman's the only driver that's actually lost any positions, because everyone else is either where they started or, in the case of Juno and Gracie, ahead of Kaufman. So
Yes.
they're all fairly where they began. Ortunio maintaining this gap to his teammate, Gracie slipping a couple of tenths each lap, and Kaufman and Bruning 20 seconds back from this lead pack. Roggenbuck currently, he's just come out the pit lane now with a repaired car. Yeah.
Have a switch that up.
No, he's still in the
No, he's
pit
jumped
lane.
back to pits. Just got told
He's
he
got
jumped
no
to
rear
pits.
wing.
So,
That seems like different damage.
what
Has he
would
crashed
have
again?
happened there? Let's have a
Oh
look.
my word.
Hello, that's...
Did he try and leave without taking optionals?
That sure is a... Right, let's...
Can we see him trying to leave the pit lane
Now what?
prior?
Right. He's leaving the pit lane. Clean car.
So he did have a wing then.
Yes. There is.
Oh,
We'll keep watching it.
I don't think the F3 cars fully repair all their damage, do they?
By the looks of
No.
things, no.
So it's a case of if you've bent your suspension, you bent your steering arm, that's it, mate. Yeah, you can see the back right tyre is not in line with the front right.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that, it's crabbing.
Oh, that is absolutely misaligned, yeah. I see what you mean.
There you go, you can really see it there. So,
And then, naturally, you're struggling to take the corners correctly when they're so aero-dependent car. Any change like that is going to have bad consequences, and you can see there that's
yeah,
a
and
rear
that'll
wing.
that'll be what we saw of Rugbook earlier. Very unfortunate for our German driver here. He remains in the pit lane. He's got a new rear wing.
Yep, so hopefully he's coming back out and he can be ever the fighter and finish this race. Got 21 laps to go in the feature. Your order has been the same for a little while. Marine in first with Ortunio in second, Gracie third, Kaufman fourth, Broning fifth, and Rockenberg in sixth position.
At the minute, they're just maintaining position, trying to stay consistent. As Brunning catches to the rear of Kaufman. Oh. Yeah, Brunning obviously has the race pace advantage on as we see Marine enter the pit lane. We'll find out what that is later on, but at the time, right now, we're watching Brunning catch up to Kaufman. Kaufman, of course, starting on the second row due to front row, sorry, due to the reverse grid. Roggenbuck finally leaving the pit lane as well. 5 laps down to the leader. Keep an eye on Roggenbuck and see if he ends up in the pit lane again. But yeah, it's very unfortunate. His suspension is completely gone. I think Brunning around, yeah, he's only gaining very little amounts. I mean, that lap he only gained a 10th onto Kaufman. Kaufman has got his pace set now, and Brunning just only able to gain very minimal amounts. Coming into the hairpin.
Yeah. Well, minimal amounts is all you really need to gain. When you have 20 laps to go, I think.
I'd like to see Marine, because he's in the pits right now, and I don't know why. So,
well, let's have a look.
Oh no! Oh dear.
Right. So
That's a
I think
crabby car.
this will give us a bit more information.
Ooh, too much speed.
Yeah, that left-hander, I'm not sure where it is on track, but that's been giving people a lot of issues.
Believe that is the second of that's Siberia, so that's the second of the left-hand sweepers. So that's after you come through the first part of the track, it's after the first proper slow hairpin. It's that long left-hander before the uphill. So twice now we've seen drivers go off into that wall. Roggenbuck has finally made it out the pit lane, so see if he's got less damage. No, you can see in the background he's smoking around that corner.
We'll
Is
see
it
how the car
repaired?
drives.
It looks better. The
His
tyres are
last-
all...
His last lap was a 1:23.7, and that's not out of line with roughly what pace he's been doing and what the rest of the pack would do. So
Yeah, all the tyres seem lined up. It's
be-
going through the left-handers.
mostly repaired, but looks things might be a bit of might be a bit of body work through the left-handers, just
Yeah, rubbing.
dragging on something. Yeah.
That can't be good for tyre life.
And while we've been looking at that, looks like
Hoffman
Mark Burning has
finally
made the
passed.
pass for P3. Luckily, we can go back and have a look at that as well.
Oh,
lock up.
on the end side.
Yep. And then through you go.
Yeah, he'll be glad that he's actually managed to make that move at that turn now, after an unfortunate incident earlier at the same corner. So, yeah, it's those. It seems to be turn 6 and turn 10 giving people the most grief for two completely different reasons. One for too much speed on entry and the other on too much speed on exit. So,
Yeah, I mean, these.
oof.
Oh.
Make that 3 corners.
I was just saying these are not the easiest cars to
Control.
to control and get to grips with. So
Yeah.
there you go. Marine is now out of the pits after spending 4 minutes 24 seconds in
Nice. Yeah, these cars are... They're so light. So, you know, as fuel starts to burn, the car will feel completely different. Like, 40 litres of the car is going to feel very much different to 10 or 5 litres of the car, because you don't have that weight behind you anymore. That car will be much happier to start snapping on you, as we see Roggenbuck having the car snap on him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably not going to want me to watch the replay, but we might as well while we're here and get a very instant replay of what may have happened. It's just gone round on him.
On a spin.
Very strange, very strange accident, I think. Because it just looped. Oh dear.
Well, it's about to loop a bit harder,
Oh, no.
I think. It's all going wrong.
Well, we saw that one live. He's stopped, yeah, and I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come back in this race, and I wouldn't blame him either.
I think
He's
a
not had the
good
best
bet.
time.
I think a good bet would be to wait it out and come back and crack out those final laps. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe there is a minimum race distance you do need to achieve. I will double check this, but he might be continuing because he's he wants to get that points. Look. There is no minimum race distance that you do need to achieve. I imagine you just need to complete a lap to get your points. So, at the minute, I am reading through. There is also a race, there is a drop round as well, so he'll be glad to know that he can just pretend this race never happened.
Yes. Well, it's a sort of thing of if there's no minimum race distance, he's got a guaranteed 8 points from being in 6th place anyway. So
8 points, yeah.
it's a sort of thing if that's fine.
Could be a lot worse.
Yeah. If he wants to not continue, I wouldn't blame him. I don't think the track and car combo has exactly treated him well today. And B, you can't really drop any further because Hoekstra isn't racing, he's just showing up. on the timing screen because he's in the server, or at least
He is the server now.
Yeah.
Racy. Kind of in no man's land right now. It's got Bruning just behind and up ahead, Ortunio and the Lat Marine head. Kind of just taking it easy. At this point, you've got second place. You can push, or you can settle. And at the minute, I'm not saying he's doing either. I'm just saying that there's another half of the race to go. Pit stops, shenanigans could be included in this, so see what happens there. That would be a thought process that I would highly recommend.
Yeah, no, I will. To be honest, I'd probably be taking it easy if I was Gracie. I know the gap behind is about 16 seconds, so you might as well. Kaufman now into the pits. Maybe stopping for fuel. Maybe having work done to the car.
We're at the halfway point now.
Yeah, if there is a stop for fuel, then it would
Good time as any.
probably be about now. Yeah. Well, yeah, he's only stopped for 5.5 seconds. That's probably fuel, maybe tyres. Gets out, back onto track.
Start line once more. Yeah, everyone has slowly spread out, even if they wanted to or not.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that if you would like to be a part of this league, for the Formula 3 league, they are accepting new drivers by the looks of things, and minimum requirement is an iRacing C license for road and at least a 1250 I rating. So pretty much if you can take part in the official Formula 3 iRacing series, and if you have at least 1250 I rating, you can join.
.4. We're seeing fairly consistently fast laps from Ortunio here at the front. I am surprised that he's a little bit of a surprised he is pushing as hard right now. Could be, I mean, with 5 seconds behind and tyres and fuel to think about, he could just ease off just a little bit, let the car just relax a bit more. No, he's still going for broke. I think he wants the fastest lap at this point.
We've also got to remember that it's probably just for fun.
I mean, yeah, entirely.
Naturally, we can all say, oh yeah, the best idea would be to just not go as fast as possible and to save your fuel and tyres. Definitely not crash, but it's fun to push.
Yeah. I mean, 100% it's
naturally,
fun to push. As he comes into the pits.
Drivers are here, of course, because it's fun. There are prizes at the end of the season for the winners, but it's still a bit of fun at the end of the day, isn't it?
I mean, there's
You don't
fun,
really want to.
and
You
then
don't really want
there's
to do it if it's boring.
there's fun, and then there's stuff getting to a wall. So, you know, you can have fun, and then really not have fun when you've got a car that's crabbing all the way down the straight later on in the race. So
Have fun, and then suddenly it's not very fun anymore.
Coming through
Yeah.
for the 19th time.
Ortunia
Aston.
and Gracie both into the pits. Well, both were into the pits, and both pit stops happening pretty much seamlessly. They spent about the same amount of time in the pits, so nothing gained, nothing lost.
Yeah, we're going to see this race go to a full distance. Quick calculation shows that 40 minutes will get you 29.6 laps, so 30 laps we're going to be seeing. So calculated right to the correct amount here. Unless, of course, something horrific happens and all 6 cars end up in a wall.
Now that would shake things up.
Who's got the least damage coming out the pit lane? That'd be interesting to see, I think. Like, a league where first lap everyone stuffs it into a wall, and then they're all racing crooked cars and broken camber and funny suspension.
Yeah, that would be
Not
quite.
saying
That'd be quite the watch, but I'm not sure how fun it would be to compete in.
No, I can't imagine it'd be fun for the drivers, but I think it would be quite funny watching people try to draft each other with cars that at a moment's notice might just collapse. I think it would be quite entertaining.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that we're going to be looking at here is: are we going to get to the 30 laps, or are we going to get to the 40 minutes first?
I think with the it's a chicken and the egg question. I think both simultaneously.
Yeah.
They're both just going to happen at the same time.
Well, the races are meant to be about 40 minutes long, and they've got they've set amount of laps for a reason. So it's probably I guarantee it's been tested.
Yeah, I mean, even if not tested, you can do fairly simple calculation off the projected race lap time. I mean, I quickly did a check, and it seems to be fairly accurate as long as the drivers are doing 1 minute 21s. You might be a lap short come the end of it. I mean, Ortunia is now doing 23s, so
Maybe.
you might be a lap or two short, but it seems to be fairly accurate. It's these laps.
Well, yeah, they would have set 40 minutes for a reason. It's nice to know how long your race is going to be. It's,
Indeed.
Also nice from a viewer's perspective, a broadcast perspective. For
I mean, I would also like to bring up, speaking of long, Roggenbuck has been in the pit lane for a little while.
Is he
What
still in
has
the server?
happened?
No.
Watching it.
So it's probably the type of thing of he was hearing us when we were talking about it earlier.
I take no responsibility. It was you or you. I did not say a word. Not me.
Yeah, no.
But having said that, having a car that does not do what you want it to do, it's not a definition of fun. So,
well, if it doesn't drive in a straight line, then how are you going to be taking corners with it? Is my philosophy on that one. Right, shall we see? Kaufman's about to start a lap. Shall we stick on board with him for a bit?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Into a cockpit cam coming towards the first corner. Completely flat by the looks of things through T1. Little braking coming through T2. Just trying to find the time we can get onto the power of a very long corner. Coming through another flat left-hander into the first real big braking zone. Quite nice and tidy through that. Yeah, you were right at the start. It is a very flowing track.
Yeah, it's not been designed as these are my choices. This is where I want this corner. It's been carved. It's been taken very considerate. It's taken the landscape and considered, where would be interesting to put a head and where would be nice to put a flowing left-right, and it's masterful in the way that it's, the undulations of the landscape is incorporated with the scenery, the difficulty of the racetrack as well. There are banked turns, there's breasts, there's braking zones that are multi-stage as we see at turn 10. So
yeah,
very clever design.
Well, it's quite a nice track overall. I think it's I do like these more natural tracks. Although I think one of my unpopular opinions is that the crafted tracks can also be very good.
I mean,
and
yes.
I do quite enjoy them, but I do quite enjoy racing in general. So
yeah, I mean, with tracks that are designed, you can design, a perfect track. If you take, I'm not going to say that these tracks that I'm about to say are perfect, but for example, let's go with Turkey, the Istanbul racetrack, which is fairly topical for this weekend with Formula One heading there. It's, the designer decided, I want turn 8 to be 4 apexes, and I want there to be in the last sector a right, left, right, little chicane section, and that's one way of designing a racetrack. And then the other end, you've got Spa coming down the hillside. You've got this track, of course, going up and down the hills. You've got two completely different ends of the spectrum and two different styles of corner manipulation as well. Like this and Lime Rock, I'm seeing significant similarities in terms of the corner apexes, entries, and radius as well. None of these corners are constant radius. If you look at the track map yourself, you'll see that they kind of close in on entrance, or they open up on exit, or it's double apex, or it's a little bit of weirdness. It's very handmade. Very lovely racetrack.
Yeah, it's been quite good so far. I feel like if we had a bit of a bigger grid, then we'd probably be having a bit more action. But as I said previously, if you want to join, then you absolutely can go to eFormulaseries.net/F3, and then you'll find all of the details there. As we said, sprint, a feature race, and an open qualifying, and there are prizes at the end. They don't have any cash prizes, but they will be providing prizing for these is there's an overall champion, a constructor champion, and a privateer champion. So even if you don't have a team, you definitely you have a chance of winning something.
Prissy and Marine fairly close together on track. Unfortunately, Marine, with that early incident, not doing him any favours at all. Blum last on the road right now. Rogenbook, of course, behind, but also not here.
Yeah. Again, I think with Rogenbook, and especially since these cars don't appear to fully repair. Again, fair enough. You can't go any further down from where he is technically. So I guess it's just a bit of a shame. Yeah.
Figured out why turn 3 is called Stoner Corner.
Oh, why so?
So this track is fairly frequently used for MotoGP as well. So turn 3 is named after the Australian double MotoGP world champion, Casey Stoner.
Oh,
so
there you go then.
It's named after him and his famous Stoner slides, which I do not watch enough MotoGP to understand what that means, but it sounds very precarious, sliding a MotoGP superbike about.
Yeah, I was going to say, anything to do with slides and motorbikes,
I would not want to be anywhere near a bike that's starting to slide, so good on him.
Personally, I don't want to be anywhere near those bikes. That's
Yeah, they are terrifying. Having a look through track list.
I'm just going to keep an eye on our leader here because we have 3 laps to go. But we have about 2 minutes to go, so it looks like it's going to be the time that expires first here, actually. Although, it'll be close.
He's going to get 30 seconds into lap 29. I think lap 29 will be our closer.
We'll see, because I assume the game will give a white flag when we cross the line. Or would it be time plus 1 lap? I don't think it would be.
Either way, we'll find out.
Yeah. It's close enough, we don't have to be speculating about it.
Aye.
So Ortunio now coming around the last corner. He's been the leader since Marine had his off, and the white flag is being waved. So while
final lap.
Yeah, while it hasn't come up on the screen, this will be the final lap. So checkered flag will come out next time around. And we'll just see Ortunio hoping to be cruising to victory. So there we go, the timer is now above 40 minutes, coming down the hill for the final time. And a bit of a slide onto the last sweeping left-hander. Coming around to cross the line, checkered flag is now being waved, and Sergio Ortuño has won this race. So congratulations to him, and that'll be a nice haul of points to firmly set himself up as the leader of this championship.
Yeah. 20 points for the win this race.
Yep, now we can see Kaufmann will be the last to cross the line. And there we go. That is now all of our drivers across the line. And here are...
Congratulations.
If they would like to come up, the results before the race.
There we go.
Sergio Ortuño in first place. It says his team is Privateer. That is not quite correct. I know that he is with 0x Racing. Matthew Gracie in second place. Let me just check whether Privateer is correct for him. Yes, it is. Mark Broning in third, who is running for Tulip Racing F3. David Kaufmann in fourth position. He is also, in fact, Privateer. Alphon Marine in fifth, who is also running for 0x Racing Team, the teammate of Sergio Ortuño. And Alex Roggenbuck is in sixth. He is also a Privateer.
Congratulations to our finishers. It was an interesting start to the race, and things settled toward the middle of it with a few hiccups from Marine and Roggenbuck and a wall. So congratulations to all of our drivers for making it to the end. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good time. I don't think we have too much else to say, so I think it's a good time to mention the next races for the Formula Renault 3.5 series. Is going to be on the 16th of October at Twin Ring Motegi. Let me bring that back up. And for the Formula 3 series, it's going to be on the 23rd of October at Suzuka. So both still Saturdays. Next Saturday is going to be Formula Renault 3.5 only. And Saturday after that is going to be Formula 3 only. So I think, unless you have any closing comments, that can about wrap us up.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was an interesting qualifying. We had a hectic sprint race, and I'd say a hectic feature race as well, with that initial start kind of sending everyone all which ways. But yeah, congratulations to everyone involved. It's been a good time today commentating over this race and the Formula Renault earlier. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, and thank you absolutely for joining. I have been Jason Sawford, joined by Marley Watts. And
indeed.
I don't know about. I don't quite know about Marley and whether Jake's going to be available for next week, but I will definitely be here. So
and I will be here or there.
I'm sure you'll be back at some point on, if not on this, then on another series.
Indeed.
And yeah, we will see you next time around.